recent column actually called out Justin Trudeau for being sociologically and politically an idiot.
Would your leader agree to a sunset clause in the anti-terror legislation that Canada has?
Trudeau's world is crashing down, and you won't believe who's leading the charge. Former Minister Ujjal Dosanjh just dropped a truth bomb that's left everyone stunned. In a shocking turn of events, Dosanjh called Trudeau sociologically and politically an idiot. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. What he revealed next will make your jaw drop. Ujjal Dosanjh, a political heavyweight and former minister, just dropped a bombshell that sent shockwaves through Canadian politics. This isn't just another day in Ottawa. It's a full-blown crisis for Justin Trudeau. Dosanjh, a respected figure who's seen it all, from serving as Premier of British Columbia to holding a federal cabinet position, has unleashed a verbal assault that's left everyone stunned. But what could drive such a distinguished statesman to launch this blistering attack? Dosanjh didn't just criticize Trudeau. He absolutely demolished him. In a move that's got everyone talking, Dosanjh called the Prime Minister sociologically and politically an idiot. Let that sink in for a moment. A former high-ranking official, someone who knows the ins and outs of Canadian politics, just called the country's leader an idiot.
Recent column actually called out Justin Trudeau for being sociologically and politically an idiot.
Of years of neglect and amnesia on the part of the Canadian politicians.
This isn't just criticism, it's a full-on character assassination. Dosanjh's words carry immense weight, and here's why. He's not just another talking head. This man has been in the trenches fighting extremism since the 1980s. He's faced threats from Khalistani groups and knows firsthand the dangers of political negligence. When Dosanjh speaks, people listen, and right now, he's sounding the alarm bells. The bluntness of Dosanjh's attack is unprecedented. We're not used to seeing former ministers unleash such unfiltered disdain. It's like watching a political earthquake unfold in real time. But what's truly shocking is that this isn't just a personal grudge. It's a dire warning about the future of Canada. So what pushed Dosanjh to this breaking point? What could be so catastrophic that it would make him risk his reputation with such a bold statement? The answer will leave you speechless. Dosanjh isn't just concerned. He's terrified of where Trudeau is leading the country. But hold on tight, because the idiot comment is just the tip of the iceberg. Dosanjh's takedown goes far deeper, exposing a web of dangerous decisions and misguided policies that threaten the very fabric of Canadian society. And what he reveals next about Trudeau's actions will make your blood run cold. You thought Trudeau's idiot moment was bad? Brace yourself for the shocking truth about his ties to a dangerous fringe movement. Dosanjh's next bombshell exposes how Trudeau's reckless pandering has empowered extremists and left moderate Canadians living in fear. The consequences? They're far worse than anyone could have imagined.
Bad economic management on our part. It's not intended to be that way, but that's how it's turned out to be. There was somebody else who ran, and Trudeau supported him. He lost eventually, but he was supported by the Khalistani.
At the heart of this controversy is the Khalistani movement, a separatist group with a dark history in Canada. These extremists want to create their own Sikh state, and they've been causing trouble since the 1980s, but instead of shutting them down, Trudeau's been rolling out the red carpet. Dosanjh, a man who's faced death threats from these very extremists, is sounding the alarm. He's accusing Trudeau of giving these dangerous separatists a megaphone and a spotlight. It's like inviting a wolf into the henhouse and expecting everything to be fine. But it gets worse. Trudeau's not just turning a blind eye, he's actively courting these extremists for votes. He's been spotted at Khalistan supporting events, smiling and shaking hands with people who want to tear India apart. It's a slap in the face to every peace-loving Sikh in Canada.
Some of them actually ended up in Trudeau's cabinet. The whole of that apparatus of that. What's happening in Canada is that we have several 100,000 students coming in every year.
The fallout from Trudeau's misguided policies is tearing the Sikh community apart. Moderate Sikhs who just want to live their lives in peace are now afraid to speak up. They're watching in horror as their prime minister cozies up to the very people who threaten their way of life. It's like Trudeau's taken a wrecking ball to the community's unity. And it's not just Canada feeling the heat. Trudeau's reckless behavior is putting Canada's relationship with India on thin ice. Every time he panders to Khalistani extremists, it's like he's poking a bear with a stick. India's getting fed up, and who can blame them? The result? A fractured Sikh community, a prime minister dancing with extremists, and an international relationship hanging by a thread. Trudeau's policies haven't just backfired. They've exploded in his face, leaving a mess that'll take years to clean up. Just when you thought Trudeau's blunders couldn't get any worse, Dosanjh drops another truth bomb. The Prime Minister's identity politics game isn't just dividing communities, it's betraying the very values he claims to champion. And the consequences? They're shocking even his staunchest supporters. Trudeau's been parading around, waving the flag of diversity and multiculturalism like it's going out of style. He's all about celebrating differences and making everyone feel special. Sounds great on paper, right? Wrong. Dosanjh is calling Trudeau out for turning Canada into a political playground where your identity is your ticket to the game. But here's where it gets really ugly. Dosanjh says Trudeau's got the Sikh community all wrong.
Particular leadership campaign got folded into Trudeau's leadership campaign when he ran for leadership. Over time, governments have not kept up the funding for the universities.
He's not protecting diversity. He's creating a circus where the loudest, most extreme voices get all the attention. Meanwhile, regular Sikhs who just want to live their lives in peace, they're getting pushed to the sidelines, afraid to speak up. It's like Trudeau's taken a wrecking ball to the very community he claims to support. Moderate Sikhs are watching in horror as their prime minister cozies up to extremists, all in the name of inclusivity. It's a slap in the face to every peace-loving Sikh who came to Canada for a better life. But it's not just the Sikh community feeling the heat. Trudeau's obsession with identity politics is turning Canada into a land of tribes, where your background matters more than your character. It's like he's forgotten what true Canadian values are all about: unity, respect, and working together despite our differences. So what does this tell us about Trudeau's leadership? It's a disaster, plain and simple. He's so focused on looking good and ticking diversity boxes that he's lost sight of what really matters. Trudeau's not bringing people together. He's driving them apart with policies that pit group against group. The result? A Canada that's more divided than ever. Instead of a melting pot of cultures living in harmony, we've got a pressure cooker of tension and resentment. Trudeau's misguided crusade for diversity has backfired spectacularly, leaving us with a fractured society where extremists thrive and moderates suffer in silence.
I was trying to persuade them to not support someone that Trudeau supported in the 2000 leadership race. I was still an MP. Would your leader agree to a sunset clause in the anti-terror legislation that Canada has?
But hold on to your hats, because this identity politics nightmare is just the beginning. The shockwaves from Trudeau's disastrous policies are spreading far beyond Canada's borders. What comes next will make you question everything you thought you knew about Canada's place on the world stage. Trudeau's latest blunder didn't just ruffle a few feathers, it sent shockwaves through the entire global community. One shocking accusation, 2 outraged nations, and a diplomatic meltdown that left everyone asking, has Canada's PM finally gone too far? Dosanjh isn't pulling any punches. He's exposing how Trudeau's reckless actions have turned Canada from a respected peacekeeper into an international laughingstock. And it all started with one jaw-dropping moment that nobody saw coming. Picture this. It's September 2023, and Trudeau drops a bombshell in the House of Commons. He accuses India, yes, our supposed ally, of being involved in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani separatist. The room goes silent. Jaws hit the floor. It's like Trudeau just lit a match in a room full of gasoline. Dosanjh is furious. He's calling out Trudeau's accusation for what it really is, an unnecessary and dangerous escalation that's put Canada in the hot seat. It's like Trudeau forgot he was running a country and decided to play international detective instead. And the consequences? They're worse than anyone could have imagined. The diplomatic fallout was immediate and brutal. India didn't just get mad, they went nuclear. They called Trudeau's claims absurd, motivated, and baseless. It's like watching a friendship of decades go up in flames in a matter of minutes. And all because Trudeau couldn't keep his mouth shut. But it gets worse. The long-term impact on Canada-India relations? It's a total disaster. We're talking about a nosedive that would make even the most daring pilot nervous. Years of carefully built ties, economic partnerships, cultural exchanges, all at risk because of one man's reckless words. And here's the kicker. It's not just India that's giving Canada the cold shoulder. Trudeau's foreign policy blunders have left our country isolated on the world stage. It's like we've become the awkward kid at the international lunch table that nobody wants to sit with. Dosanjh isn't mincing words. He's calling Trudeau's approach to foreign affairs downright reckless. It's like watching a bull in a china shop, but instead of breaking plates, Trudeau's breaking decades of diplomatic goodwill.